Hey everyone, it's Fire here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to liquidate your stash tabs as efficiently as I do. A few disclaimers before we get started. First off, you're not going to be able to liquidate 200x worth of stuff if you don't own 200x worth of stuff. Second, our goal here is to liquidate fast and smart. We want to be efficient, we're not looking to squeeze every single last Chaos Orb out of every sale that we possibly can. And finally, we're not trying to liquidate every single item we own, we're actually only trying to get to about 80% liquidity. Now the reason for this is that the last 20% is going to take longer than the first 80%, but it's going to bring us much less money, so it's just really inefficient to even try to aim for 100% liquidity. Time is money. The reality is that the amount of money you would have made from that final 20% would often be less than the amount of money you'll make in a single hour of just going back into farming. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the trade tools that you're going to be seeing used in this video. To begin with, we have PoE Awaken Trade. This is first and foremost a price checker, and this is really good for checking the prices of items on the fly while you're in game without having to alt-tab and look at the trade site. Next up is Excellence Next. This is a wonderful program that you can use to just price up entire tabs all at once. You can check your net worth, it can track the amount of profit you're making per hour. However, it does have some limitations, such as not being able to track some of the new items and also items such as rogue markers, which individually aren't worth very much money. Finally is the TFT Discord and the TFT bulk selling tool. Now, regardless of what your personal opinions are about this Discord community, this tool is absolutely wonderful. It's how I can sell an entire Scarab tab within a minute. The links to all these tools are going to be contained in hyperlinks over here on the first page of the spreadsheet. I'm going to be including this spreadsheet in the description below. You're going to need to open it and make a copy of it anyway, because we have some pretty five-head ways of selling logbooks and heist stuff, which I'm going to get into a little later on. Now what you see on the screen in front of you is a description of the process that I go through each time I liquidate my stash. I of course don't refer back to this page, I put this page together so that you guys can refer back to it, but in time, you're going to be able to do this process naturally. It kind of makes a lot of sense. It's not something you really have to think about. To begin with, the first priority is always pricing up the expensive niche items. Things such as Watcher's Eyes, crafted bows, all this sort of stuff. They're worth a lot of money and they take only a few seconds to price up. However, they take a long time to sell. So we do this first, so that way while we're still pricing up other things, we might get a sale. The second priority on our list is all of the stuff that we can sell with the TFT bulk selling tool. Now the TFT bulk selling tool can be used for a lot of things, but in my experience, it's only good for 4 things. Your Scarab tab, your Fragment tab, your Delirium tab, and your Fossil tab. Most of the other things that you can use it for don't actually manage to find bulk sellers. You can post your essence tab, for example, but I've tried to fire sell my essences at 30% of the PoE Ninja value, and no one wanted to buy them, so we're only going to be using that for these things. We do this stuff second, obviously, because it's the largest amount of money we can make with the shortest amount of time investment. In fact, I'm going to sell some of these things live for the sake of the video a little later on. The third priority on our list are all the valuable items that we're going to be selling on TFT, but we're unable to price up with the bulk selling tool. Now, the bulk selling tool has some limitations, unfortunately, but this spreadsheet covers all of that stuff. I'm going to give you some pretty efficient ways to sell all of your high stuff, all of your expedition stuff, all of your maps, and that's going to be covered in these tabs here. We're going to actually have a part of the video dedicated to this stuff, but the TLDR of it is that you're going to input the amount of things that you own in here, and it's going to generate a box that you can copy and paste directly into the corresponding TFT window to make your money very quickly. Second to last on the list are valuable items that you can't sell via TFT at all, and you're going to have to manually price one way or another. Now, I have some efficient ways of doing this, but it's still less efficient than the first 3 things on this list, so naturally it comes fourth. And finally, we have everything left over. So your compasses, which have to be priced individually and are limited by the rate limiting on the PoE Trade website. You have your Sentinels, which you're going to have to sort through manually and figure out for yourself. Blight, Metamorph, the unique items, and your dump tab. So this is pretty much just everything not covered by all the efficient things that we're going to be doing. This is what comes last. And you don't even have to do this part because most of the liquidation is going to come from the first 4 things. So you can leave this stuff till last, and then if you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. Now to start bulk selling, we have to start off by opening all of the relevant channels. You're going to go back to the master sheet tab on my spreadsheet. You're going to highlight all of the links in the B cell over here. You're going to right click, go down to view more cell actions, and then open links. This is going to open all of the Discord channels you need simultaneously, including a spare Discord channel, basically, that's just for all of your messaging so that you can respond to people without clicking out of the channel that you're trying to sell things in. Now, bulk selling is so damn easy, I'm going to do it live for the sake of this video, and we're going to time myself to see how fast I can do it. We're not going to be selling my Scarabs, however, because I actually haven't farmed up that many since I last sold them. So we'll probably sell my Delirium tabs instead. We're going to go into the bulk selling Delirium channel over here, so bulk Delirium Orbs, WTS, SSC, and we're going to browse to see what the ninja price is of the people who have successfully sold their Delirium Orbs. So as you can see here, even 130% of the PoE Ninja price is sold, 110% of the PoE Ninja price is sold, 110%. I want to get a fast sale just for the sake of doing it in the video, so I'm probably just going to do 100% of the PoE Ninja price. We're going to click the corresponding tab over here, then we're going to select Delirium Orbs over here, and we're just going to select tab. Now, this part usually has to be changed, but for the sake of this video, we're not going to. Okay, so I'll start the timer. We're going to click down here, generate image. This is going to generate an image that we can now paste into the channel. And then we're going to generate text. Once this is done, you're going to paste that into the channel as well. And then you're going to hit enter and you're simply going to wait. Now, I've already gotten a few messages for it already. I didn't stop the timer when I stopped the video, so I'm just going to send him my character name, and then I'm going to wait in-game for this individual to contact me. So I now have someone coming to buy my Delirium Orbs. I'm just going to take them all out of my stash real quick. I've got a bit of lag. I'm gonna trade. It's that easy. And what did we get for our time? See, under 2 minutes to sell the entire tab. So just to reiterate, the process I just showed you can be repeated for your Scarabs, your Fragments, and your Fossils, as well as your Delirium Orbs. So this should take you well under 10 minutes. It took me 2 minutes and I was messing around, having to stop a recording and start again. I had to respond to a friend in between. This is something you can easily sell all of your Scarabs, all of your Fragments, all of your Deli Orbs, and all of your Fossils easily in under 10 minutes by just using the bulk selling tool. Next up, I'm going to teach you how to make a bunch of money from all of your Heist contracts. Now, most people don't like picking up Heist contracts because it's a pain in the ass to sell them. Well, not with the method I'm about to show you. This spreadsheet makes it so goddamn easy. So to begin with, we're going to sort out all of our Heist stuff into our inventory. So before you get started on this one, you want to make sure that you have a folder dedicated to Heist, okay? So it's got to have a Deception tab, a Perception tab, a Counter-Thaumaturgy tab, and then tabs for each of the different blueprints, maybe even a lockpicking tab depending on what the meta is and what people want to buy. Now, after you have all these tabs sorted out into a folder, you're going to go to your Currency tab and you're going to pull out any kind of filler item. So in this case, we're going to use Scrolls of Wisdom. We're just going to shift-click a whole bunch of individual ones into our inventory. Then we're going to go to our Heist locker. We're going to start by sorting for Deception contracts, and we're going to pull them all into our inventory. Now, in this case, I'm not going to pull literally every one out, otherwise we're going to be here longer than I intend to be. Okay, so let's pretend that was all my Deception contracts. We're now going to take a Scroll of Wisdom, and we're going to put it underneath the last one. We're now going to also start looking for Perception instead. And we're going to continue pulling them out of my Heist locker. The reason we use a Scroll of Wisdom is so that it becomes a lot easier when we're sorting it out later on to figure out which ones are which. So, okay, let's just pretend that we're done. We've taken all the contracts we want. Now, of course, all of the ones that aren't sorted out, so like anything that's not Deception, Perception, Counter-Thaumaturgy, and in some cases lockpicking, you're just going to leave in the Heist locker, and you're going to take a mental note of roughly how much you have. These are the random contracts, okay? And so you're going to go into the stash, you're going to click on the Deception tab, and you already remember that everything before this Scroll of Wisdom was Deception, so you're just going, oh, accidentally put that one back in the locker. You're just going to click all of them into your tab like this, and once you get to the Scroll of Wisdom, you know that you're done clicking all your Deception ones in, so then you click on the Perception tab, and then you click all of these, so on and so forth, and you use this method to sort out all of your contracts, all of your blueprints, because now I can click on the Deception tab and I know that I have 12 Deception contracts. I click on Perception and I know that this is 12 plus 8 for 20 Perception contracts. Now that you've done sorting them all out, you're going to go to the Heist tab in my spreadsheet and you're going to input the amounts you have for the amounts you want to sell them for. Now, you might want to go to the Heist channel and actually look at what people are selling all of their contracts and their blueprints for. For example, you can see here that people are selling their deception for 11C each, and this person actually managed to sell theirs. This person is selling their deception for 10C each. This person is selling their perception for 4C each, etc, etc. And the things that are crossed out, you know, probably aren't selling, so you probably want to sell for a little less than what they're offering. And you can just go through that and then go back to this little tab in my spreadsheet and input all of the values that are relevant, basically. So we had 12 deception contracts, we have 20 perception contracts, etc, etc. Now this will price at 10C, perception will price at 4C since that's sold, our randoms are going to be 0.5C, okay. And so that's going to just work itself out. You just put all the values into the green boxes, and you don't have to touch anything else. Remember, it's only the green boxes you want to fill out, you don't want to touch anything else. Once you're done with the green boxes, you're going to click here, you're going to hold down shift and click down here so that you're highlighting the entire box. Then you're going to Control C, and you're going to Control V. And now you have a pre-typed message that's going to tell people everything that you want to sell. Now, something to take note of is down here it has my in-game name, my character name. This is for people to message me quickly. You can actually set this in the Master Sheet tab over here. You just type in your character name into this box, and it's going to fill it out in all of the other tabs that we're going to be using. So at this point, I could just hit enter, and now my heist thing is done. Before you hit enter, make sure to Control A and Control C so that you have a record of the message, because once you Control V, it's going to be pasted. So let's pretend we're pasting, let's pretend that we're posting the message, and then we can just Control V to get it back, so that in 10 minutes time, we can come back to this, and anything that's sold, we can just cross off the list. Let's pretend we sold a currency blueprint, we'll just cross that off the list, we'll cross our lockpicking off because our lockpicking stuff sold, our counter thaumaturgy stuff sold. So we just cross all that stuff off the list, then we have a pre-written message ready to paste again, and you just keep doing this every 10 minutes until all of your stuff's sold. That's it. That's all it takes to sell all of your high stuff, and this is how you just earn a bunch of exalts with a few minutes worth of micromanagement. The process for Expedition is even simpler. You don't actually need to sort out all of your contracts and your blueprints because the Expedition Locker kind of does a pretty good job of doing it for you. Now in this case, I actually sold all of my logbooks, unfortunately, before making the video, my mistake, but usually the way you would sort your logbooks is simply you would type sun into this bar and you would pull all of your sun logbooks aside. Any logbook that has a sun faction on it is considered a sun logbook because that's the most expensive faction on the logbook, and that's what you're going to sell at the maximum amount of money. You're going to repeat the process for Scythe, and then any logbooks left over are just considered other. Circle or Chalice, no one really cares. They're probably worth about 20C each. We'll get into that in a second. And yeah, so that's how you sort your logbooks out, and then you can see all of your reroll currencies from here. You just go into the spreadsheet, and again, you just fill out all of the details here. You fill out the quantity, you fill out the price that you want to sell them for, and you can look at the channel to see what other people are selling this for. So if we look at this, people are selling Black Scythe for 55C, people are selling, for example, some Astragali for 2C each, 2.3C, exotic coins for 4.5, etc. So you would just go back here and you would change the price of an Astragali to 2, the price of exotic coins to 4.5, you would lower the price of your Scythe logbooks to 55, for example, and then when you're done, you can simply highlight this entire box yet again, copy it, and paste it into here, and you have a pre-written message with your in-game name so that people can message you right away, and the entire process is taken care of. You don't need to individually price any of these items because it's all done in a TFT channel that you can post every 10 minutes, and the only things that I'm showing you the TFT channels for are the things that people actually buy. So you can expect to sell all of your Expedition stuff through this channel. You can expect to sell all of your Heist stuff through the Heist channel. Things such as Metamorph I'm not covering with the TFT channels because people don't really buy Metamorph organs through the TFT channels unless there's a challenge associated with it. The last one is the Maps tab. Now this works a little bit differently, but you have your Conqueror, Shaper, Elder maps, you have Blighted maps, you have also Meta maps. Now, the reason why this one's different is because you can actually change this. So say you were collecting Mesa maps via your favoriting system and you wanted to sell Mesa, you would simply type Mesa in here and then that would change it down here so that when you copy paste this message, it says that you have 15 Mesas that you want to sell for 5C each. The other way this tab is different is that you can sell sets of Conqueror, Shaper, and Elder maps if you want. So I would simply import all of the stuff here, go into the relevant TFT channel, and then you can kind of cross off the things that you don't want out of this message. Now let's say you only want to sell individual maps, you would simply highlight this and cut it out of the message. Alternatively, you could do it the other way. You could cut out all of your individual maps and only sell sets of maps. So yeah, that's pretty much how the maps work. Not too different to the Expedition and Heist stuff, but these are the three that we're going to be selling through TFT that we can't bulk sell. as you can see on this list, we are fast approaching the end. We've gotten all of the TFT trading out of the way, and everything from here on out is just using Excellence and PoE Awaken Trade. We're going to start with Essences, especially since Essences are the last thing covered by this spreadsheet, and all this spreadsheet has is a short guide on how to sell Essences using the filter method. Now, the filter method is a tried and true way of bulk selling certain items using a tab and constantly repricing the entire tab, with some exceptions. This has existed long before I ever started playing PoE, and it's going to continue to exist long after I stop playing. So what we're going to do in the case of Essences is we're going to price up all of our Greed and Dread Essences individually. We're going to price up our Hysteria, Delirium, Insanity, and Horror Essences, our Remnants of Corruption. We're going to remove our Deafening Essences and put them in another tab, and then we're going to price the remainder of the tab at 9 out of 9. I'm just going to give you a live demonstration rather than talking more. Now, the easiest way to remember Dread and Greed, Dread is always the last essence and Greed is always the first one. These are by far the two most popular regular types of essences. So we're going to use PoE Awaken Trade to price up these ones. As you can see, Deafening Essences of Greed are 4C, the Shrieking versions are 2C, the Screamings are 1C, and we pretty much have something similar going on for the Dreads. I priced them before doing this take, and now we're going to, we don't have any Essences of Horror, Delirium, Insanity, etc., so we're going to price up our Remnants of Corruption. But it turns out Remnants of Corruption are priced at 1 to 1C, which is pretty much what we want to do for the rest of our Essences. So now we're just going to take care of the Deafening Essences. We're going to pull all of the Deafening Essences out. I should have actually left the Greed in. We're going to put the Greed back in at 4C, and we'll just take everything else out, and then we're going to go to a tab that's priced 9 to 3. Now, not everything is worth 9 to 3, and 9 to 3 simply means that these are worth 3C each, but people have to buy them in multiple of 3s, so that you're not wasting a lot of time doing individual trades for a single essence, right? Because some people will message you for it. So you're going to keep it at 9 to 3, and over time you'll lower the 9 to 3 component of this to, say, 8 to 3, or 7 to 3 if things aren't selling, and you can keep going down. Now, as for everything left in this tab, you're going to price it at 9 to 9. The reason you're going to price it at 9 to 9 is because essences only stack up to 9. They don't stack up to 10. So encouraging people to buy in multiples of 9 means you are only trading people with entire stacks of essences. You don't have to do the thing where you sell them 10 of an essence and you have to take out one stack and then take out one individual in order to sell to them. Doing 9 and 9 just makes it a lot easier to handle all these things, and we need to look to optimize every part of our trading as possible so that we can save time and get back to playing Path of Exile. Now, over time, some of these essences, most of them in fact, won't actually sell at 9 to 9. So you want to simply change it to 8 to 9, 7 to 9, 6 to 9, etc. until everything has sold. That's all you have to do. Just keep lowering the price until everything in here is sold. Now, there's not much demand for Screaming, if I'm being perfectly honest, especially as you get later into the league. Everyone just wants to use Shrieking, so don't feel too bad about just hitting the upgrade button and mass converting all of your Screaming essences. You may sit there and think that Excellence is telling you that these Screaming essences are worth 1C each, and by converting them, you are losing a ton of money. That's not the case, because no one's going to buy the Screaming essences to begin with, and you just want to make sure that you can get as much liquid money as fast as possible. So don't feel afraid to just hit convert. Just convert them all, and now you can just sell them in Shrieking. In fact, having larger quantities of Shrieking actually makes it a lot easier to sell off your Shrieking, because people only want to buy large quantities most of the time. Especially with where Recombinators are at in the current patch, people need a lot of essences, and they don't want to waste time trading you 9 or 18 essences. They want 90 essences or 180 essences. We haven't really talked much about Excellence next, but now we're going to. So the next thing on our list of things that we need to price up is currency, and to do so, we need Excellence next. In fact, I pointed out on this master sheet page of the spreadsheet a few different Excellence next profiles you're going to need. You need a net worth profile, but you also need a profile for your currency tab, for your divination card tab, and also a combined profile for Metamorph, Blight, Unique, and your dump tab. So as you can see here, the net worth calculations, they should be calculating all of your tabs separately, and that's going to tell you how much money you're worth. The reason this is important is because if you're liquidating, it's likely because you are trying to earn your way towards a Headhunter or a Mageblood or something like this. As you can see here, I only have just under 41 Exalt's net worth at the moment, mainly because Grimro has all of my money, but I digress. This is really important in determining whether you need to keep liquidating or you need to actually stop liquidating and getting back to farming so that you can can get to the net worth necessary to buy the Mage Blood or buy the Headhunter or whatever item you are pursuing. As for selling currency, because you want to price up this entire tab pretty efficiently, you want to have your currency only profile active. This is going to basically filter out all of the things that aren't currency so that you could just look at this list and go through it one by one. Really helps if you have a second screen, but you don't have to, right? It's just slightly more efficient. And you just go down the list. Make sure the list is being sorted by total value. The total value is going to tell you which things are the most important things to price. To start with, the most valuable currency I have in here, other than my Exalts and my Chaos Orbs, are my Orbs of Fusing. They're worth 0.3c each, approximately. Excellence is always going to undervalue the value of your currency. Well, in some cases, it's going to overvalue it, but usually it undervalues it a little bit, and that really doesn't matter because we don't care. We just want to get back to farming. The faster you get back to farming, the more money you're going to make overall, and really, I don't care if I sell my Orbs of Fusing for 11x or 10.8x. It really doesn't matter to me. I just want to get the sale. So we're going to observe the individual price, in this case, 0.29, and what we're going to do is simply multiply it by 100. Right, so that gives us 29, and then we're going to go divided by 100. Now what this does is it says that we want 29 Chaos Orbs for 100 Fusings. And that's going to be the price all that stuff sells at. Now, I'm on D&D at the moment, which is why I'm not getting spammed for messages, but I'm pretty sure this is the cheapest price on the market, probably by far. If you're not getting messaged, what you need to do is go to your waypoint and then go to town. Going to town sort of refreshes it and tries to push these prices onto the trade site. It's basically like a quick way to refresh and get your trades going, but it doesn't really matter because trade will automatically refresh all of these prices over time, so you can just keep pricing the rest of your tab if you want. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend doing it for each individual currency item. I'd only recommend going to town if you've priced up the entire tab and nothing is selling. The other thing to keep in mind is that you can also price via PoE Awaken Trade, though it is kind of annoying because sometimes PoE Awaken Trade will give you the price in Exalts. You can price it through the trade website, but that's obviously quite a lot slower. The other thing you can do if you're not getting sales is simply lower this number from 29 to 28, or you can just keep lowering all of the numbers in your currency tab bit by bit until the currency sells. Most of these things sell virtually instantly, so if you're not getting asked or PM'd about them, it means that you're not the cheapest price, and if you want to be the cheapest price, simply just keep lowering until you get them. Next up are Divination cards. Now, Divination cards are not going to be tracked in our net worth profile. The main reason for this is that Excellence overvalues the hell out of Divination cards. A lot of Divination cards are not worth 1c, but Excellence will still price them at 1c, and in some cases will price them for more than 1c. In this case, my Divination card stash tab is worth 8 Exalts, and I'm not even going to sell 1 Exalt's worth of these items because, quite frankly, it's not worth making 3 and 4c trades. If I scroll down here, as you can see, why would I want to do trades for individual cards at 3c each when I can be in a map earning way more money than that by just simply not pricing these cards and letting them rot in my stash tab? So all we're going to do is sort by the price tab here. Now, don't sort by total value because even though you may have a stack of Emperor's Luck which are worth 69 Chaos Orbs, no one wants to buy Emperor's Luck. So instead we're going to sort by the price of the individual cards. We're just going to price the individual cards. In this case, it's telling me that the only valuable ones I have are Saint's Treasure, Home, the Bones, the Hoarder, the Chosen, and pretty much anything under the 10c I probably don't care about. I have 2 patients here. Maybe I'll price them at 8c and still sell them to someone who messages me for both. But for the most part, these are pretty much the only ones I want. And as you can see, I'm just going to go into my div card tab. Owned. Saint's Treasure. Yep, we're going to pull that out. Patient. Hoarder. The Bones and Home. Where is it? Home. Okay. And that's it. We're just going to then put it into a dump tab or a sell tab. And what did Excellence say Home was worth? So Excellence said Home was worth 22c. We can also double check that using PoE Awaken Trade. Yep, 22c. If I really wanted to get a fast sale, I'm going to put it at 21, and that's it. You're only going to price the few Divination cards that are worth a bunch of money. The ones that aren't, just ignore them. Let them rot. I know you're probably sitting there thinking, well, you're losing 8 Exalts by not doing so, but the thing is, you're going to lose much more than 8 Exalts if you actually sit there trying to price each card individually, and then after that, taking the time to trade for them all individually. That's going to take you an absurd amount of time that's just not worth it. The last thing we're going to cover is the everything else. So basically the everything else profile is everything that's pretty much just blight, metamorph, your uniques, and then everything in your dump tab. These are just the things that don't neatly fall into other categories, and we just are going to have a big catch-all profile that's going to sort them by value and tell us which things are actually worth our time to price and which things aren't. And so in this case, Simulacrum, of course, we're going to price our Simulacrum for 60C. We have a Conk Effect gem, which I know it's saying it's worth 28C. I don't think I'm really going to get the sale for 28C, so I'm going to skip that. Next up is Chevron's Wrappings at 12C, Call of the Brotherhood at 12C, and then you have... it just keeps going down from there. In fact, most of these items I'm not even going to bother to sell because I'm not going to be bothered taking the time to trade for them. But this is really useful because if I did have, say, 20 Fodol Catalysts, this would have been at the top of the list and it would have told me that for taking the time to price my Fodol Catalyst, I would have made, for example, 80 Exalts or something along those lines. And that's the entire reason this profile exists, just to make sure that all of the things that aren't falling into the other categories are getting picked up somewhere and we then have the ability to price them. And this is pretty much the end of liquidating. There are a lot of other things that we could liquidate potentially, but it's just not worth the time. You can go in there and start pulling out individual maps that have, say, map contains a blight encounter and trying to assign a value to it, but you're going to be spending a few minutes trying to price up an item that's worth 5C. You're then going to have to then stop doing a map later on in order to make the trade. If you play like this, you're not going to make any money, right? Take it from someone who owns a Mage Blood a few days into every single league. You just want to ignore a lot of this stuff. Your time is extremely valuable. Every second that you spend outside of a map is time you are not making money. In fact, just the time it took to make this video probably cost me close to 20 Exalts, if not more. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with some more interesting content.